Welcome back to the channel, everyone. What I'm going to be doing today is a kit review on this bit of kit right here, which is a flare underquilt from Onewind Outdoors. Alrighty then, so I love hammock camping. I do a lot of wild camping. If I can get myself into a tree line, I love putting a hammock up. I just find it a lot more comfortable sleeping in a hammock than I do sleeping on the ground. Another thing a hammock does is it enables you to sleep on a bit of a slope. So quite often when I'm out in the hills, what I'll do is I'll do a map study and I'll pick an area where I'm going to bash her up overnight. And if it's on a bit of a slope in the tree line, then I'll pack my hammock, and you can pretty much put it up on any kind of slope. So it enables you to do that. Obviously you just need a couple of trees. So I've previously done a review on this hammock here from Onewind Outdoors. It's got the bug net on it, so check that out. I'll put the link up for that. One thing I haven't really done a lot of until very recently is used an underquilt, because I tend to pack light for when I'm out, so you know, keeping the pack weight down and stuff like that. And what I normally do is I'll put in a roll mat, a sleep mat underneath, just to keep the cool off you, because when you are elevated like this, because you've got the air underneath you, especially in cooler conditions, you'll really feel that cold on your back, even through your sleeping bag. So you need to pack something like a roll mat or something to keep the coolness off your back, to keep your back a bit warmer. However, I was recently approached by Onewind Outdoors to see if I wanted to do a trial on an underquilt. As I say, I haven't really bothered with those up until recently, because I try and keep my pack volume down and my weight down. But I thought I'd give it a try, and basically you're substituting a roll mat for an underquilt. And it doesn't really add too much bulk, and it only adds a little bit more weight. So I thought I'll give it a go. And for cold conditions like it is now, it's March in the UK, it's still pretty chilly. Actually, it's worked out really well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk through that underquilt. I'm going to give you the specs and details of it, how I've used it, how to set it up, and then I'll give you a conclusion at the end with pros and cons as I see of that underquilt. And what I'll do now is I'll talk through some specifications. I've got them up here on my phone because I can't remember 101 details. So the size of it is 210 centimetres by 130 centimetres. Obviously that's when it's folded out, the actual quilt, which is 82 by 52 inches. The packing size is 18 centimetres by 36 centimetres. So obviously 36 across there by 18 there. This isn't fully compressed. You can actually compress it down a bit more. You get this compression sack with a strap on here, so I can compress it down a little bit more. The weight of it then is 2.3 to 2.5 pounds. I guess that extra little bit is for the stuff sack, which is 1.04 to 1.14 kilos, which is pretty good really. It's a decent sort of, it's not super heavy, is it? Sort of a kilo, you know. It's the weight of a litre of water. So the material, the shell fabric, is made out of 1.1 ounce 20 denier ultralight nylon fabric. The lining is the same, and the filling is bio-based fibre made DuPont Sorona synthetic insulation. So basically it's got a synthetic feel, which, you know, the upshot of that is it's going to be slightly heavier than if it was made out of down, but it's going to be, you know, okay in damper conditions, wet conditions. It's still going to do its job, whereas with a down-filled insulation it wouldn't work as well. So that's some specifications. It comes in green. The actual colour inside this is like an olive drab green with a black inside, and it also comes in like a dark blue colour too. So that's your two colour options if you wanted to go for something that was looking a little bit less military than this. I'm quite happy with it being green, not because, I mean, obviously I'm wearing green and all the rest of it, not because I want to look like a soldier all the time, but when you're out wild camping in the UK, really you want to be blending into the environment, don't you? Because you're not actually supposed to wild camp in most areas. So what I'm going to do now is I'll go through the setup of this bit of kit and show you how it works. Okay then, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to literally get it out of the bag. I'm not going to show it off in any kind of way where you do some sort of super slick setup. I'm just going to show it in a basic format, so that those out there that haven't used one of these can see, you know, the basic setup method. So what you've got is a big It's basically just a big rectangular quilt, okay? It's like a poncho liner type thing. As I said, it's green on the outside and then you've got black on the inside. At each end then, so at the narrow ends, what you've got is a central point here. There's a centre point here with a bungee on it, and on the end of the bungee you've got a little carabiner here. Then following along, you've got a little toggle here that helps tighten it up. The same on this side here. We'll just ignore those for the moment. And then on the very edges, on the corners, just untangle those bungees a little bit, you've got the actual point here on the end with a bungee on, same on here. So this is part of how you set the thing up. So the first thing you're going to do is take that central point with the mini carabiner and just attach that into this little part of the hammock here, so the end of the hammock where the cords come out. I'll just get that out of the way. So you attach that on there, okay? Then what you want to do is get the bungees that are on the ends, hook them through the carabiner as well. So you've got the right hand one here as I'm looking, and on the left you've got this one here as well. So I'm just going to hook that through the carabiner. Okay, so you've got 3 attached like so. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the entire quilt down like so. I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. So I'm going to take the central one with the carabiner on, attach it to the cords that are sort of like suspending the hammock. Then I'm going to take, as I'm looking now, this is on the right side of the hammock, take that edge one, take the loop, snap it through the carabiner, and then I'm going to take the other side, put it through the carabiner. Okay, so they're all attached up now. You can see it's starting to form now, can't you? Next thing you're going to do then is put a bit of tension on. So the central one there, I'm just going to put a bit of tension on to kind of snug it up against the hammock. One thing I have found though with these little tensioners, they don't actually stick. So what I do is I just put a quick overhand knot in just to hold it in place. And exactly the same on these external ones. I'm just going to tighten it up a little bit. You could literally tie a knot in a bungee or something, but I'll just put a little overhand knot in there, and then I'm going to do the same there. So you've got, it's kind of slightly starting to form in place there. Then I'm going to do the same on the other side. Obviously at this point what you're doing is you're working out exactly where you want the thing positioned in relation to the ends of the hammock. And there's a bit of flex in it because there's a bungee cord, isn't there, rather than say paracord or something. So I'm tensioning up those outside ones now. And just tying those overhand knots in. Okay, so that's that part of it done. Once you've got to there then, you can see it's kind of, you loop it either side of your hammock if it isn't doing so already, like that. Once you've done that then, you've got these points here and you tension those up as well. So these points here, you're just going to put a bit of tension on the bungee. There's one on this side too. And what that does is it's going to hug that around the hammock. So when you actually get in and you put tension on, it's going to sit down into it like so. So I'm going to do that on both sides. And you can now see that hammock underquilt is starting to fit around the hammock there. So I've just showed that on the other side too. You see it's fitting around the hammock. So last thing you're going to do then is you're going to actually get in your hammock, and what you want to be doing is adjusting. There's like a side tensioner point here, just there, halfway along on both sides. A little adjustable thing there, you see that? So when you actually get inside the hammock, you're going to reach out and just tighten these up so it's kind of snugged around you, and I'll just do that now. Okay, so once you're in, and just take the side there, tension it up, and then what I could do now is take the zips around the other side and tension up the other side if I felt the need to, but I can actually see and feel the hammock underquilt is now in the right position, okay? And actually, instantly, as I'm sat here now, I can feel that's really warm on my back. It's really quite comfortable. And what you don't have with this, you don't have the hassle of a sleeping mat slipping around all over the place as you're turning over in the night. It will just sit there like so. Right, so that's the operation, the setup of the underquilt. What I'm going to do now then is I'm going to talk through what I see as the pros and cons of this underquilt. Pros first then. So first thing is it does give you mega comfort. It really is nice. So like I say, I've used it a few times now in cooler conditions. It gives you great comfort for hammock camping. So that's the first thing, the comfort sort of upgrade that it will give you for hammock camping. The second one then is it's not actually that heavy. I mean, I tend to pack light and I like to cut down on my gear, but an extra kilo for that added comfort ain't too bad at all really, to be fair. The third one then is the setup. It's relatively easy to set up. It's not too much of a faff. Once you've got it clipped on, you just adjust it up and it's good to go. So the simplicity of your setup is my third pro. Okay, cons then. Okay, my first con is it will add a bit of bulk and a bit of weight to your kit. And like I said, it's not particularly heavy, but it does add a bit of bulk and a bit of weight to your gear if you're going to be using this. The second con then is those tensioners. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but you know, I'm pretty au fait with most outdoor gear. I had a look at kind of doing it different ways, but those little tensioners don't really tension up. So I don't know if it's a manufacturing error or whether I'm doing something slightly wrong. Put it in the comment section below if you've got one of these and you can set it up, no problem with just tensioning it, you know, straight pull. But I've had to put like a little tie off on each of those bungees, which isn't ideal really. You should just be able to tension them up. So that's my second con. Okay, third con then, the next bit is just literally, it's just a bit of a aesthetic thing, I suppose. You've got all these little bungee cords hanging off everywhere. I guess you could tidy them up once you've finished setting it up, but yeah, it kind of, like all these bungee cords hanging down, when you're getting out your hammock maybe in the middle of the night, if you need to go for a pee or something, you could potentially catch one of these and trip on them. So yeah, maybe what you could do is basically just tie them up and tie them off. But yeah, just having those bungees hanging off everywhere is just like a very minor thing for me. So that's my thoughts on this hammock underquilt from Onewind Outdoors. Let me know what you think. Do any of you guys out there use underquilts? Personally, as I said earlier, I'm kind of sold on it actually. Just for that extra little bit of bulk and weight, it actually does a great job for cold conditions. For the summer months, I wouldn't bother, because you don't particularly need it if it's going to be really warm, especially if you're in a particularly hot environment. Obviously you're not going to need this, but for cold weather hammock camping, I think it's a real deal, and it's actually something relatively new to me, so I'm quite sold on it, I've got to say. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. Again, what I'd like to say is thank you so much to those people that have taken up subscription to my channel. Really appreciate you supporting the channel. I'll put your names up in the description in a second, but thanks a lot. Cheers for that, guys. And as always, stay prepared.